through 2v2 battles. It's pretty interesting. As far as what the battles look like, we'll see it in a second. But the name of the game really says it all. We're going to be customizing our Robo to do better in the battles. As we do battles, we'll unlock new parts, and we'll use them for beating enemies either quicker or, well, mostly just quicker in the case of the speedrun. The one we're picking up right now, that's a Robo. It's in its cube. Maybe the first half an hour of the game before we get any new parts. Just the base set's actually pretty okay. It's very decent. The starting Robo they give you, the Ray 01, has a really impressive charge attack that we'll use. You'll see them doing a lot of dashes, mostly dashes versus the actual gun that they'll have. The dash is going to do a lot of damage, which is really exciting. So I want to see how their first battle goes. Bombomb doing the shoot and the dash strat. And then spamming dashes as the enemy's down. Enemies will go down when they've taken a certain amount of damage in a certain amount of time. They'll take more damage while they're standing and then less while they're down. It's a way for the game. It's almost like a handicap the game implements so that you can't just spam someone to death. Okay, they pretty much ended at exactly the same time. Bombomb got a perfect, which just means he took no damage during that fight. Doesn't necessarily mean it was faster, though. So sometimes that can be a little misleading. Often it does mean it was faster. It's nice to be like getting perfects, but at the end of the day, it's all about the speed. You can take a ton of damage in a fight as long as you're not getting down, you're not missing shots. You can always win with 1 HP. It's more about making sure that you're playing optimally, you're doing the damage. Because anybody can get a perfect and just run around the stadium and hide the whole fight. But if you're going to lose 2 minutes to get a perfect, it's just not working. You guys can see now the cubes, they shoot out of the cannon. Pretty exciting, and they have little numbers on them when they land. It is random what number you start the fight on, but we can do some sort of manipulation to make the number go down faster. Most runners will mash A, but I found out recently you can just hold A to make the number decrease sooner. The goal is to have it land on the ground, and when the screen zooms in on the cube, to be at 1. That way we can pop right out and start doing damage. If it's at 2, it's no big deal, but if you mash too hard or if you hold A for too long, it can roll over to 6, and then once it's on 6, you gotta wait a while to get out, and that can be some time loss. And so after every fight, we're kicking the burglar's butt. The police don't stand a chance. It's really sad. We have to do some dialogue, and that was Harry just telling us more. He's always going to give us tutorial text. Whenever you see the green text in the text boxes, that's just tutorial text. But these fights, all these fights with the Ray 01 can be a little tricky. Once we get new parts, we're gonna wait for specific parts. We know what we're looking for. We know what's optimal, what's fast. Once we change to our fastest set, the fights are gonna be much, much easier. There's gonna be no worries about losing at all, really, until the very end of the game. But time loss also will be minimized. It's just more consistent, that set that we're going to use, and I'll talk more about it as we get closer to getting it. But these fights with the Ray 01 can just be a little shakier. Enemies tend to fly away from you a little more. You have to run after them. They can end up being a little slower. A lot of time loss can happen in these early fights, and we're kind of seeing it now. It's looking like Bombomb is getting a bit of a lead. But that doesn't mean a whole lot, really. There's tons and tons of fights in this game. And since there's so much mashing, you can lose a lot of time just from inoptimal mashing. I don't know, you guys probably can't hear anything from the text boxes, because that would imply that there is optimal mashing. But if you let the text box write itself out a little bit, there's like a do-do-do-do-do-do-do noise. Every character has a unique noise. It's actually kind of cute. I really like it. They didn't voice act the game, but they incorporated like female characters with higher pitched voices, like do-do-do-do-do. And then when characters are angry, it's like loud. It's like do-do-do-do-do-do. It's actually pretty hilarious. But hopefully we won't hear any of that if they're mashing optimally as quick as they can, deleting the text boxes. But it tends to happen. You know, you tend to, especially since there's so much, their arms are going to be tired, their minds are going to be tired. We'll eventually see some inoptimal mashing, some time loss by the end of the run. And we'll just have to see who has more, I guess. I'm pretty excited about this race in general. I know right now Shauny is the world record holder for this category. He set this record, he set a 1:59.20, the first ever sub 2 5 years ago. and it was the only sub 2 in the game. No one else, including Shauny, has gotten another one until this Monday, like 5 days ago. Bombomb got the second ever sub 2, 1:59.56. And so that was crazy. We were all happy for him, very excited. So this race really could go either way. These are essentially the top 2 any % runners. And we're seeing them have their very first race against each other because of the time difference these runners have. You guys, I think you can see they have their own times posted. It's 11 a.m. for Shauny, and it is 2 a.m. for Bombomb. And so Bombomb stayed up really late for this. He's been very, very flexible. We gotta say a big thank you to him for that. Okay, fights are over. We did it. Day 1 is almost over. Bombomb is doing our first instance of having to talk to every single NPC in the area. He's gonna run around and follow an optimal route and literally mash through text for all of the NPCs. And the game isn't very nice about it either. Casually, they hide. You can see him now in the bottom left of the screen. Tuck that guy down there. Novice players or people who pick up the game for the first time might not even find that guy. It might take them like a couple minutes of walking around being like, what am I supposed to do right now? But we're professionals. We know he's hiding there. And we're just going to mash through all of their text. Finish that up. And so long story short, the burglars were there to steal the Robo that we actually used, the Rayo one. They wanted it. It was the new thing. And we ended up stealing it instead. But everybody liked us. We stopped the burglars and they let us have it, which is super cool. And that's going to be the end of day 1. We got a job. We got a Robo. And now day 2 is going to start. And day 2 is going to be, we're going to walk to Steel Hearts, back to our bounty hunting agency. And Ernest and Harry are going to decide that we're too green. We're too novice. We don't know anything about Robo battling. So we're going to go to the training gym and essentially just practice. We're going to fight Harry, and then we're going to fight a bunch of different bots. And these fights coming up can be a little annoying. They can be some of the first annoying fights. The gun that Harry uses is called the Gatling gun, and there's tons of different guns. I can't remember the exact number, but it's a lot. It's more than just like 10 or 20. There's a lot of different weapons in the game, and they all do very different things. And some do different things, whether you shoot it on the ground or in the air, which is really interesting. We'll talk about that more as that comes up. That's gonna be important, very important to the run, probably in like 20 minutes. But for now, Harry's using the Gatling gun, and that's pretty strong. If we get hit by the Gatling gun, it's hard to dodge after you've been hit. You get staggered. And so pretty much the whole burst is going to get you, and then we'll get knocked down. And that can result in some time loss, because we have to then get back up, and we got to go chase Harry down. In a perfect fight, we won't get down. We'll be able to run right up to Harry, shoot our basic weapon at him, one whole round of it, and then charge out. Ideally, we'll shoot, charge, and then that'll down Harry, and then we can shoot a bomb. Our bomb is also just the basic bomb, and then we'll charge while the bomb is landing. And if we connect at the same time, the bomb and the charge, we get some extra damage. And so we just saw Bombomb attempt to do the shoot charge, but he missed the charge because Harry's kind of slippery. But here he goes, and then he did the bomb and the charge, and that's the combo. That's the Rayo 1 combo right there from Bombomb. Let's see if Shauny can land it as well. Look at Harry running around. And so that's just, he's just bleeding time, right? And there's nothing we can do about it. We just got to do our best to minimize that, right? He's just trying to catch Harry as fast as possible, end the fight as fast as possible, and move on to the next one. And let's see what Shauny does. Shauny lands the hit. Oh, but the charge didn't land. See, so this is the tricky part about it. Once we get our next set of gear, we'll be using a different Robo, a different gun, a different bomb, a different pod, everything. Everything will change, and it should be a lot easier for us to actually connect. You can see Bombomb right now actually getting the next gun and bomb. He's not going to use those pods. That's pods. But he's going to change to the 3-way gun and the standard bomb S pod, or bomb rather, sorry. But we'll see him do some really fast menuing right here. This is going to be pretty cool. Yeah, very quick menuing from Bombomb. The 3-way gun that he's using now is amazing. It shoots way more rounds than the basic gun that we were just using does. I think it was intended to be like a longer range weapon, but if we run all the way up to the enemies and we essentially barrel stuff them, look, this is what he's going to do. He's going to run all the way up, we'll use the charge. But the damage from the gun is immense. It's very impressive. He's going to stick with mostly charges for these specific enemies, the next 2 machines that he's going to fight, because they both use Little Raider Robos. The gimmick with the Little Raiders style is that they are smaller hitboxes, right? They have smaller hitboxes. They can run really quickly on the ground, and they get downed in one hit, no matter what hits them. And I mentioned it briefly, but when you're down, you take less damage, and so you don't want to down them with the gun. Ideally, you would down them with a charge. The charge will do a ton of damage right off the bat, and then while they're down, you can output as much damage as possible. But if you hit them with one of the bullets from the gun, it might only do 20 or 30 damage, whereas the charge would do upwards of 100. And so Shauny's still fighting this guy. He's using mostly the gun, but Bombomb is going to start charging this guy down. And this fight, Bombomb's fight is going to be a lot faster than Shauny's. Hopefully Shauny can remember this strategy for the second fight. Essentially, Bombomb's a whole fight ahead right now. But again, we're only in day 2. There's 12 days. There's lots of tournaments we're going to go through. There's tons of fights. There's going to be tons of time to save and make up later. Yeah. And so that was the second Little Raider in a row for Bombomb. And now the machines he's fighting are going to switch to being Trick Flyers, which is just another type of Robo. There's a bunch of different types. There's Metal Grapplers, and there's Lightning Shriekers, and there's Little Raiders. This is a Trick Flyer Robo. And essentially it just means it has higher aerial abilities. It can move around more in the air, which honestly doesn't do a whole lot for them in the speedrun. We're going to wait for it to land, and then we're going to hit it with the standard Bomb S. That's going to stun it, and then we're going to be able to get up to it and hit it with the three-way gun. It looks like Bombomb is just going to keep charging. The Rayo 1's charge is very strong. It does tons of damage. It's quick. We're also, once the charge has started, we're immune to damage. We can't get down. We can't get staggered. You can't stop the charge. He can lose time if the charge doesn't connect. Like we saw earlier, Harry was running away from him. But if the charges can connect, this is very fast. That's a very good strategy. It's the strategy we use for the entire low percent run, where you don't use the parts generator and get new parts. So we'll see if he sticks with the same strategy, this charge strategy, against his second Trick Flyer, or if or we'll also see what Shauny does. Does Shauny start using just charges, or does he keep three-way spamming the enemies? I saw Shauny open up with the standard bomb, but it didn't connect. Once we finish these fights in day 2, we're going to get a call from Ernest. Our boss's name is Ernest, the bounty hunting boss. He's going to tell us there's a problem at the park that we're going to have to go handle. And so we'll have to talk to Harry. And we'll do that in just a moment. These machines are using the three-way guns against us. That's the same gun that we just both picked up. Shauny and Bombomb now are both using it. And that's going to be the gun we use the whole rest of the game, the three-way. It's incredibly strong. And it's enemies in the beginning of the game are using it constantly. I feel like a lot of the enemy in earlier are using either the Gatling gun or the three-way gun, which is nice. We love seeing that. That's like a super strong weapon that they get to use against us. But the good thing about it is that there's no difficulty in this game. There's not a modifier. They're not playing on easy. They're not playing on hard. They're just playing the story of the game. And so what the game does to fix that, to correct it, a lot of the enemies in the beginning of the game use an easier to fight AI. They're not very good, honestly, at battling. I was practicing the other day, and I wanted to calculate how much damage Harry would do to me with his Gatling gun, and he just would not shoot me. It just wouldn't happen. These AIs are meant to be easier in the beginning of the game. The enemies towards the end are very challenging. A lot of the fights are really scary, especially the last fight. It's definitely a huge battle. It's incredibly likely for people to lose on that fight. That's a run killer, and we'll talk about that once we get closer. That won't be for a long time. That's right at the very end of the run. That's how the run ends. But okay, Bombomb's in the park. He made it. He's fighting. Oh, I actually missed it. I don't know. He's either fighting Anthony or Thomas. Those guys are fighting in the park because that girl, Mary, scheduled a date with both of them. So they both thought they were going to go on a date with Mary, and they got in a fight, and we're going to fight them to stop them fighting, essentially. You can see that Bombomb's fighting against a Gatling gun, but he expertly dodged it, got another perfect. So he's looking very, very good. He's looking very, very good. And Shauny's about to start this fight, and we'll see how his fight goes. Back to Bombomb's game. Anthony and Mark and Thomas are going to wake up and be angry at us. However, we're going to be saved by our third party member, where there's 3 people that work at Steelhearts, not just me and Harry, or Harry and Harry. Marsha or Marcia. I think it's technically Marcia, but I just say Marcia. Works at Steel Hearts also. And everybody says that she looks just like Hatsune Miku, because she does. I think that she looks exactly like her. However, this game came out in 2004, and I believe that Hatsune Miku's like first release was like 2007-ish. So I guess take that how you will. But anyway, that's Marcia, and she's going to be a new cast member for us. She's going to be hanging out with us all the time, pretty much. Okay, so that's the end of day 2. And Marcia let us know that we actually can't be bounty hunters right now. Hiro is bounty hunting illegally. He needs to have a license for this. To actually like go and use a robo against another human being, you're supposed to be licensed unless you're at like a tournament. It's like all casual. And so we're gonna go to the test hall, and we're gonna take an actual exam. We're gonna go up to this machine, and it's a 10-question multiple choice test. But Shauny and bombomb both know all the answers. They know exactly where they are. It's not randomized or anything. They're going to pick the middle option and the top option and the bottom option, etc. And they only need to get 8 out of 10 right. So the last 2 questions, they're just going to keep mashing and select A just because it's faster. And so we can watch bombomb. He's taking this test. He's acing it. So far, so good. And the last 2 questions he gets wrong. So he's going to get an 80 and he's going to be fine. And then he has to pass an actual battle test, which he'll also just pass. And then we'll have our license and we'll be legal, which is exciting. Shauny is about to do the same thing. He's going to wake up and he's going to walk to the test hall exactly the same. Something to note is that we saw Harry there. He's always going to be following us around, telling us how to do things, where to go. But he was talking to Trish at the counter. Trish is the name of that girl, female character at the counter. Harry's always talking to the female characters. That's just Harry's character. This game is very old, and so that's pretty much Harry's whole character design, is that he just talks to the ladies. He's going to actually get Trish's phone number, which is a big surprise. That never happens for Harry. And so he's going to be really, really excited about that as we leave here in a minute, as Bombom's getting ready to leave. But let's see how Shauny does with his test. And so he's selecting all the options. He must be looking at... I don't think he has a memory. I think he's looking at his, like... what's it called? Like a Excel sheet with the answers on it that he uses. I use it too. That's just the easiest way to do it quickly, so you know, like, okay, I'm picking the top one, I'm picking the bottom one, etc. This is another trick flyer with a 3-way gun that Shauny's fighting, that Bombomb just finished fighting. And so same strats, right? We're using the Rayo 1, so we're going to focus on charges. However, we have the standard bomb S that can stun the enemy, and we can run up to them then and land a bunch of 3-way shots. And that's what Shauny just did, right? Standard bomb S, spamming the 3-way. That does tons of damage. Lots of damage outputted. We're not very worried about anything else that this bot has to offer. If you look back at Bombom's screen, Harry drops us off at home. We're done for the day, but he drops Trish's phone number. Right? Trish's phone number now on the ground. That's going to be a problem in the morning. I'm sure. But okay. Day 4 starts. We're cruising so far. I think both runners are doing excellent. Bombomb only has a little bit of a lead over Shauny, and that's fine. There's tons of game to pick up. We were expecting the lead to flip back and forth a bunch throughout this race, so we'll have to see if that really holds up. Oh, something's going on at the neighbor's house. That is Walt and Carmen, our neighbors. And Carmen discovered the note with Trish's phone number outside and is very upset at Walt. She assumes that it's his and that he went and got her number, and now they're having a large marital dispute. And so our landlady actually calls Steelheart's, our office, and we're going to go and end that dispute. We're going to hopefully fight them and make them stop fighting. But the important part about this whole thing is that Carmen is going to use the Metal Ape Robo. It's going to be a Metal Grappler, and that's going to be the Robo that we're going to switch to soon. It's going to be our new, essentially best-in-slot Robo for the rest of the game. It's what we're going to use the whole time. And the pros to it over the Rayo one is that it doesn't get downed as easily. We can tank a lot more damage. It's kind of a bullet sponge, which is good and bad, right? It's bad because that just means we take a lot more increased damage because you take more damage when you're not down. But it's good because we don't get downed as easily, so we can keep our damage output high. It's also good because its model is actually larger than Rayo 1's, and so we'll just be able to connect more with the three-way gun. But something else that's bad about it is that our charge with the Metal Ape is actually much worse than Rayo 1's charge for damage. We're not going to use the charge for damage as frequently as we used to, and so Bombomb has been camping the charge, really. He's been using it a bunch, because it just does so much damage. It's so good. But Metal Ape's charge is just inferior to it. It's much longer, it's much slower, it doesn't do as much damage. But what it is really, really good for is blocking damage, because I mentioned earlier that you can't take any damage when you're charging. If you're in the animation, it just nullifies all bombs, pods, bullets that would hit you. So we're going to use it for defense. If there's an enemy that has a very strong weapon, we can dodge right through that, essentially by charging. So that's what we're going to use the Metal Ape for very soon. We're not going to unlock it until after this next fight. Carmen and her husband Walt are it's going to be our first 2 versus 2 fight. Carmen's going to have the same loadout. Walt's loadout's not scary. But what is kind of scary is the arena. We're fighting on... Oh, no we're not. Just kidding. I thought we were going to fight on Walt's stage. This is not his stage, so that'll have to happen later. But after this fight, we'll unlock the Metal Ape for real, and the next time we fight, we'll be using it, but we're not going to stop at a parts generator right away. We'll stop at one right before our next fight. We'll stop at one that's more in line with our pathing. That way we don't have to waste a ton of time running to a parts generator. We can just grab it real quick. But you'll see then how long it takes to collect all these parts, because we've been ignoring the extra parts we've been unlocking, but pretty much after every fight we unlock some part, whether it's a bomb or a pod or a boot or a new Robo. And so we're going to have to collect a bunch, and it's going to waste a lot of time. And so that's really the trade-off here, is that we're taking... It's not the strongest weapons in the game. There are stronger weapons in the game. The shotgun, for example, is a really powerful weapon that we unlock right at the end of the game. But you have to spend so much time at the parts generator that a lot of the time you would have saved with this new weapon, just you don't save any because you spent so much time unlocking it. So it's a trade-off. We're using the set. We're going to use the set that we're going to use because it's all very good and it all gets unlocked very early. We can unlock it very early, not waste a lot of time getting the parts, and then we can use those parts to have faster fights throughout the rest of the game. So Bombomb's fight went really, really well. Shauny's having that same fight now, the 2v2 against Walt and Carmen. And so I think the lead must be shrinking a bit, because I think Bombomb was almost 2 fights ahead, and now he's just the 1. Okay, Bombomb is outside Walt and Carmen's house now, and we're getting a phone call from our boss, Ernest, and he's saying that there's a character named Marv at this pub down the road. Marv is like an Easter egg character. He was in every custom Robo game. And next time we're at Steel Hearts, I'll try and point him out. There's a wanted poster with his face on it. He's wanted for whatever reason, and we're going to go there and capture him. And that's the plan. It's not going to work. We're walking in now, and we're going to see another character. This is Evil. He's the only voice-acted character. We'll hear it. Oh, it got skipped. I didn't think it was going to get skipped. He has like a laugh. Oh, there it is. So that's the laugh. That's Evil's laugh. It's the only voice acting in the entire game. And he's just another character with another bounty hunting agency, and he happened to get here first. And we don't like that, and we're kind of his rivals. He's kind of our rival. His name is Evil. Fair enough. But defeated, we'll go back home, and that should end this day as well. So that'll be day 4 done. We only have 12 days total, so essentially we're a third of the way through, but a lot of the last days are much, much longer than these days. So we're definitely not a third of the way through the whole race, just the number of days. And so Shauny is now also matching his text. He's going to go have that same essentially cutscene with Evil and Bogey. And Bombomb is going to wake up on day 5 to a phone call to head straight to the Daimon Chinese restaurant. There's something going on there. We got to get there stat, essentially. Very exciting stuff. Very exciting stuff. So I've seen some runners grab that parts generator. He's not gonna. Bomb's gonna opt to grab one later in Steel Hearts. He's taking optimal map pathing, making sure not to take too many corners. You can run straight through. He's gonna talk to Ernest, Marcia, and Harry here to progress the game. The guy on the ground, he ended up fighting. He had like a fight with this mysterious Robo. And traditionally, they're just in cubes. These robos, people have to come and they control the robots. But this one robot came, just walked right in and fought the guy. Totally unmanned robot, super weird. And the guy didn't make it. He ended up passing away during that fight. It's kind of tragic. And we're trying to get to the bottom of it. We're like, what actually happened? What just happened on bombomb screen was Marcia used her special powers. She has special powers. No one else has these special powers. But she can look into someone else's Robo Cube and read their last moments and their last feelings. And she's able to determine that, like, what the Robo looked like, essentially. And so she's going to go back to the police station and they're going to do a sketch and they're going to ask her questions. And then meanwhile, we are going to go... Where are we going to go? Oh, we're going to use the parts generator right now. This is us getting everything. So we're going to have all these different parts. We've got 2 different bodies, a bunch of different bombs, a bunch of different pods. Oh, and look, Shauny also grabbed the same one, but outside while in Carmen's house. Very interesting. Very interesting. So instead of opting to get the one in Steel Hearts, he grabbed the one at home. So he's just going to save that time walking the parts generator in a different spot. I don't actually know which one's faster. But Bomb's going to Bogey's now. Bogey runs an illegal gambling ring, and there's a guy there who is winning too much. So we're going to beat him and stop him from winning so much. But before this fight with Evil, Bomb is going to do another menuing session. The last time we're going to customize our Robo, and he's going to equip all those parts. He's going to equip the Metal Ape. Just now he's putting it on. He's going to equip the Speed Pod D, and then instead of equipping the long thrust boots, he equipped the feather boots. Only Bomb does this. That's just what he decided to do. He thinks it saves time. Maybe it does. We don't know. He didn't get a sub 2 until he wore the feather boots, and then he put them on and got a sub 2. So maybe there's something to it. His reasoning is that the feather boots let him jump for longer. He'll be in the air for a longer amount of time. And so that's going to let him use his aerial effect on his gun more frequently. And so what that means is he's firing the 3-way. That's our highest source of damage with the Metal Ape. And if you shoot when you're on the ground with the 3-way gun, the bullets that connect will knock the enemy Robo away. But if you shoot it in the air, you'll actually knock the enemy up and at you. So if you jump and then shoot very quickly, you won't even look like you're in the air, but you'll be able to output tons of damage. All of the bullets should connect on your enemy, and that's why we're using the 3-way, essentially, that we can output tons of damage so fast by spamming jump attacks, essentially. And let's see how Shauny does with his menuing in his fight against Evil and Alaki. Now that Bomb has won, he'll go into the back, and he'll start this illegal gambling tournament, and just like every tournament, we're going to have to talk to every single NPC in the room before we can start the tournament. But Shauny's loading up into his fight now. His goal, like always, is going to be to use the bombs to stun the enemy and then spam the 3-way. Shauny prefers in the 2 versus 2 battles to focus the scarier enemy first, as opposed to switching. I know a lot of people will switch when you down someone because you get less damage output when the enemies are down. But he'd rather just focus on the scarier one, get it over with, and then focus on the other one after. Your partner should focus the one you're not focusing. That's just how the AI works, but we'll see throughout the game if you're paying attention to the fights. Partner AI are just not very good. A lot of the time, your partner will just do nothing. He'll just run around and hide, and that's not incredibly helpful at all. Okay, you can see Shauny doing tons of damage. Bomb is now in the tournament. He's fighting against Paulie. Paulie uses the Javelin Robo. The perks to the Javelin is its dash attack, like in the air, not its like charge move, but when it jumps and then does a double jump, it turns invisible. It has like a blink dash, and you can phase through attacks and I think you can phase through objects too, like walls. It's really interesting. It's super cool. The speedrun actually used to use the Javelin Robo. We unlock it right now after fighting Paulie. If we went to a parts generator, we could get it. And it used to use that. That used to be the world record time, was using the Javelin, because its charge attack is actually better than the Rayo ones. It's very good. But it was Shauny who decided, let's try the Metal Ape. And that ended up being faster for most people. But he wanted me to make a note adding that just because it's faster for most people, it may not be faster for everyone. And that if someone felt like picking up this game to encourage them to try whatever works for them, whatever they feel is their best set, and just see how that goes. And maybe you notice something, maybe you find something else that's faster than what we're doing. We're pretty confident in this setup, but we're not 100% sure it's the most optimal, right? There could just be something else out there that we don't know about. Because we don't know a lot. I mean, I think we do know a lot about this game, but we haven't found out much. There's no real tricks or skips or glitches that we use. There's no ending fights early, or skipping fights, or skipping whole days. There's none of that. There's almost no tech. It's just how fast can you mash, how optimally can you fight. And so we actually have a bounty out. We're offering, you can almost, I think if you find a significant enough skip, like if you skip a whole day, you can get, I think it's $300, just for the information, just for finding it, just for sharing that with the community, because we're desperate for a little something. We really have almost no tech. There's 2 or 3 where there's like something that almost kind of counts. I'll bring it up and I'll talk to you you'll see it when it happens, but it's nothing groundbreaking, or we're not. They save seconds and it's not really a glitch. But this tournament continues. Shauny's starting a fight against Walt, and this time it's actually going to be in his arena, the ice arena. This is my personally least favorite arena, just because there's no friction on the map. You slide around a lot, and it's hard to stay next to the enemy you're fighting. Bombomb is now fighting Harry. He's in the Harry fight. I personally think Harry's always easy to fight. Bombomb's doing a good job, using the pods, using the bombs, spamming 3-way, doing tons of damage. The fights are looking really quick from both sides. After the Harry fight for Bombomb, the last fight of the tournament is against a character named Shiner. And Shiner uses the Lightning Sky model, Robo. It's going to be our first time seeing a Lightning Sky. And they have a unique dash as well. Their double jump, their double A button input is unique. They fly around as opposed to dashing. They have like jets that they use to like fly around the map with a little plane. And it's really annoying to fight. You can lose a lot of time if they get away from you and they fly around. And so I know that Shauny's going to use a certain strategy. I'm hoping Bombomb does too. We learned about the AI that, like the computer AI, what the computer does. If the enemy gets downed, when they rebirth, when they're done getting down and they're in the air, they'll always dash. And so Bombomb's going to keep them in the air and then use the dash to follow him right away so that Shiner doesn't get very far away from him. And the fight was incredibly quick. Incredibly quick. That was excellent from Bombomb. It can go south so quick if you, for whatever reason, don't get him in the air and he doesn't dash, or maybe you get down and he ends up flying away. Once he starts flying away, he'll burn a lot of time. You're not likely to lose that fight. It's not an incredibly hard fight, and the Metal Ape and everything were very strong. But we can bleed a lot of time. That's most of the idea about with the early game, is that we rare to really lose a fight here, but you can have a fight last an extra 30 seconds that we don't want to. Back on Bombomb's screen, there's some lore happening. Marcia is going to bump into that guy. That guy just bumps into Marcia, and she thinks she recognizes him, so she chases him away, and that's all we get from that for now. That guy's going to be incredibly important later in the game. But for now, we end the day, and we start up the next day. Shauny's still fighting. He's fighting against, I believe, Shiner now, so he's not very far behind. He's catching up. This day for Bombomb is going to be another tournament day. We're going to the training hall where we fought Harry on day 2, and we're going to have, there's a huge tournament. Big tournament there. There's a lot of fights. Everybody's pretty much there. And just like always, before a tournament, we have to talk to every single NPC in the room. So that's what Bombomb's going to start doing. He's going to walk to the training hall, talk to everybody, and then start this tournament up. There's going to be a lot of battles there. Not too many incredibly tough battles, per se. The guy who owns the restaurant that we were just at, Daimon, he will fight, and he uses the Little Raider, Robo. And so that fight can end up losing you a lot of time, just because it'll jump in the air, it'll run away, and we want to be really, really close to it when we use the 3-way so that we land all of our bullets. If it jumps away from us or runs away from us, not all of our bullets will connect, and we won't be able to do as much damage as we want to. And so that's a good, or that's like a rough fight. That can be a rougher one for time loss, but again, it's not an incredibly difficult fight. The difficult fights will start more towards day 8, day 9. And then, I mean, day 12 is pretty tricky. The last day especially, there's a lot of fights in that day, there's a lot of hard fights in that day. This fight, again, Bombom's going into now, against, this is Walt and Carmen's son, Wally. He uses the Sealhead Robo, and this is almost a meme Robo in the community. We love fighting the Sealhead. It's terrible. It's the worst Robo. It just tanks so much damage before it gets down, and then it stays down for longer than any other Robo. So you can see that one combo that Bombomb just landed, right? Knock him down the 3-way. We're jump shooting so that it stays close. Each one's doing more than 300 damage. This fight's going to end right now. Oh, the pod knocked him away, so he's going to get rebirthed one more time. That's no big deal. He's going to end it really quick, but not a scary fight for Bombomb. Bombomb's just trying to get the fights as optimally, as quickly as possible, and he's doing a great job. He's looking incredibly good. Shauny's right behind him. He's going to have to talk to all these people, and then he'll be able to start his next fight. And so this is the Dawn fight from Daimon, and you'll see he uses the little Raider, the short one. He's also using the drill gun. I think this is our first time seeing the drill gun. The thing with the drill gun is that it has incredibly short range, but it's pretty strong. But it just makes it tricky to get in close. So it's annoying. This Don's Robo wants to stay away from you. It runs away from you, but if you get in close like you want, it can output a lot of damage if he lands his shots. Bomb's not even letting him shoot. He's just going to keep downing him, because one of those pellets from the 3-way will down him. So he's going to connect with one, probably, and then run up and shoot. Very clean fight from Bomb. It was a perfect fight, HP-wise, and it kind of looked like a pretty good fight, time-wise, too. I think that looked really good. And so I think that almost puts Bomb officially 2 fights ahead, because Shauny's just now starting the Wally fight. But there's so many fights left to go, I wouldn't be surprised. Anything could happen, and one loss would really throw a wrench in this whole thing, because when you lose, you have to redo a little bit of the dialogue before the fight, and then redo the whole fight. So each loss can be minutes of time loss. Anywhere from like 1 minute to 2, especially if it's a 2v2 fight that you lose. That can add tons of time. Something else that we haven't seen, that I hope we don't see, that can also add a ton of time to your run. At the end of every day, whoever we're talking to asks us, what are you going to do? Do you want to go home? And if we say, yeah, I'm going to go home, the day will end, it'll autosave, and we'll go on to the next day, we'll wake up in bed. But if you say, I'm going to wander around, then you have to walk back home for that to happen, and that can take an extra minute and a half, and it can happen really easily since both of our players are mashing through text, right? So every time there's text boxes, they're spamming A and B as fast as possible, and if you hit B when that option is there, it'll select the second option, and that is to walk home. And so they are thinking about what the text boxes say, when that's going to be coming up, and they're just aware that I need to start mashing A more frequently, or maybe even just A, when that is coming up. Recently in the community, it was decided, since there is so much mashing, that maybe we should just allow turbo. And we talked about it, we took a vote, and we did decide that we'll allow turbo on the leaderboard. And so what that looks like is essentially I have mapped to one of my buttons on my controller, input A as fast as possible. And so I can hold down this button and skip through text like that, as opposed to mashing A and B. I'll just hold the A button down. And it doesn't make it very much faster than optimal mashing. That's not the point. The point is that this optimal mashing for the 2-hour run is really painful. It actually can hurt your hands. It's hard to do. I know a lot of runners say that they have hand pain from this, and that they will take, hand medicine, or they'll go to the doctor because of it. And that's just, you don't want to hurt yourself playing the games we like. So we decided that it would make sense to have turbo be enabled, be allowed. And we have rules about what kind of turbo you can use for official runs in the Discord. It all gets okayed. It's all in our Discord. It's all on speedrun.com. But I definitely encourage people to join Discord for this game. This is a great game. It's tons of fun. I play it casually more than I speedrun it, truthfully. But the speedrun itself is a good time. You just destroy a bunch of robos. You really are just super strong with the set and playing it the way that we play it. And it's not incredibly... There's no really tricky setups or frame perfect anything. It's just how optimal can you play, and so there's no real bar to entry. I know a lot of runs are like, oh, I I just can't land this trick, so now I can't do the speed run, and you don't want to do an unoptimal route. At least for this game, you can just do this route, and even if you get a time like a 2:45 or something, or a 3-hour time, it would just be awesome. I think everyone would love seeing more runners in the community. I think it would be great. So bombomb won the tournament. It's over. It was excellent. He beat Harry, he beat Marsha, he beat Evil, and now he's moving on to day 7, which is excellent. Shauny's a little bit further behind. He's in the Evil fight right now, so he's going to fight Evil and then Marsha, or Marcia, however you'd like to pronounce her name. For day 7, bombomb is going to go straight to the lab. He's not going to stop at Steel Hearts. He's going to go right to the science lab from day 1. We got a call from them, and we gotta work on an assignment that they are giving us. Essentially, that's the deal. We're gonna find out that they suspect people sneaking around at night. Someone maybe broke in and is looking for something. Evil's here too. Evil was hired. He's gonna work here. Not as like a scientist or anything, just also doing what we're doing, right? We got hired, and Evil's gang got hired. Because they're really nervous about whatever these people are looking for. They would like to keep that thing. They don't want people in the lab. And so what Harry's going to have us do is talk to everybody. We love talking to everybody in this game. We're going to walk around the entire building and talk to every single scientist. And essentially we're just going to find out that no one could be sneaking in. All the doors are locked. You need to have a key code that the scientists have to get in. We're going to start all the way at the far end of the building, all the way at the right side. Bombomb opted to go into the first door first and then the second door. I've never seen that before. Most players will go all the way to the second door and then go into the first one. I suppose it must not lose too much time because you follow that same route, but just interesting to note. But we start on the right side anyway because Harry has to be the last person we talk to progress the game, and he's in the far left room. So we start on the right, talk to every NPC, and then we finally will talk to Harry, and we'll progress the game to nighttime when we wait for the inevitable break-in. He's talking to Harry now. Meanwhile, Shauny's just waking up after having won the tournament, and he's going to join us in the lab in just a moment. Harry, Hero, and Marsha decide it must be an inside job. There's no way that someone could have snuck in without a key. And so now that it's nighttime, we're going to do some investigating on our own. Bombbomb's going to run to the specific emergency exit. He knows for sure that by pressing A on that door, it's going to trigger the next event. And so by pressing A on that door, the music changes, we hear the glass shatter, and somebody broke into the lab. There's something going on, and so now he's going to look around, and Evil's going to say someone must have broken in, let's look for clues. So Bombbomb's going to run specifically to this other trigger. You talk to the statue, and then it's going to say, hey, maybe I should talk to Marsha, and that triggers the next dialogue. That won't happen until we investigate that statue, and same with the door. There's tons of things you could investigate in the lab, but the game won't progress until we investigate those specific things in that specific order, and Bombomb just knows that. He also knows that the first enemy is going to be at that emergency exit we were just at, and so he's going to go in and he's going to talk to this guy and start the fight. Something interesting is Shauny also just did the same route that Bombomb did. He went into that door first. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe I should change my strats. I really thought I would go all the way to the right first. That's okay. These Z-Lackeys aren't anything scary. We're going to fight 3 of these guys, and then fight our first kind of scariest opponent, I would say. Yeah, I don't think any of these guys... Oh, okay, one of these guys actually has a pretty strong weapon, and I'll point out which one, and we'll see how the runners handle it. But as for now, we're just optimally fighting. Shauny just finished talking to everybody, which is excellent. So I think he's catching up. Looks like it. It's easiest to tell the difference when we're in the tournament days, because there's not a lot of moving. We just stand there and we talk and we fight, and you can see, oh, he's this many fights behind, etc. But there's still, even at this point, right, we're probably 45-ish minutes into the run, I'd say, based on these runners, so there's a lot left to go. We still have a lot to see. Tons of time loss or time saved coming up, so it's not set in stone by any means. Bombo's fighting the second Z-Lackey, and he's still using that same technique. We're going to see that the whole run. spamming the three-way, point blank, just for tons of damage. Starting with a standard bomb. S is really good, that stuns them, right, so we can get up in front of them. The third Z-Lackey we're going to fight, so Bomb's next fight, Shauny will fight that guy in 3 fights. He uses the Glaive Robo, which is another one of those blink dash robos, so it's pretty interesting to fight. They can dodge your shots, which is a little intimidating, but he's also going to be using the shotgun. I think that's our first time running into an enemy with the shotgun, and that will down you in one shot and also have very high damage output. And it's incredibly close range, which is unfortunate because that's where we want to be. We want to be right next to these people so that we can shoot our three-way at them and land all of our bullets. And so when we're up next to him, if he hits us with a shotgun, not only will it do a ton of damage and that risks us losing the fight, but what it's definitely going to do is lose a lot of time because we'll get downed, we'll have to rebirth, and the enemy has a chance to run away. Also unfortunate. Speaking of things that are unfortunate, it's also on the ice stage, so my least favorite stage of the game. The enemy's going to be able to stay away from us because our Robo doesn't walk very well and also doesn't jump very well. We don't move incredibly fast. And that's why Shauny opted to use the long thrust boots. That's what's meta right now. Just so that we have a longer dash so that we can fly around faster and get to enemies quicker or that are further away. The fact that Bomb uses the feather means that his range might be a little shorter, but it also means that he can shoot the aerial shots more frequently and much faster. So that's his trade-off, and it seemed to work out for him there. That went very well. I don't think that fight had any real major mistakes. I don't think he got downed at all. I didn't really even see the guy shoot the shotgun. So that went about as good as it could. And now Bomb is outside. We're going to see Marcia. She just clearly lost a battle. That's no good. Against this mysterious woman. She works for the Z Syndicate. So did Shiner from Bogey's place, and all the guys that we're fighting, these are all Z-Lackeys. We don't know anything about the Z Syndicate right now. We don't know where their base is. We don't know who their boss is. We don't know what they want. We just know that they're up to no good. And clearly they've broken into the lab, so we gotta beat them up. So we're gonna beat them up. But something about the Z Syndicate leaders, this is Eliza who we're fighting right now. She uses illegal parts for her robot. Essentially, the lore of the game is that all the parts are like okayed by the lab, so that they won't cause any actual harm to the people in the battles. Her parts are not okayed. In theory, they could cause real actual damage to someone from a fight. Bomb would have taken no damage. That was a perfect fight. He literally took no damage. In game, what it means for us, like functionally, is that the illegal parts, the Robo will tend to do more damage. Often they'll get an extra air dash, which can make it really annoying to catch up to them and to actually output damage. Bomb seemed to have no trouble there, which is really exciting for him. He's doing he's having an excellent run, really. It'd be really exciting to see another sub 2 here. It's not incredibly likely. Marathon luck and everything could happen, but in this setting with, it's no resets, it's do your best. We may not see a PB, but it happens. I would love to see that. I think that would be incredibly exciting. Shauny's having a more average fight against the shotgun guy, right? He got hit a couple times, he got down a couple times, but he still is going to be able to pull a win here. No problem. No problem for Shauny. Bomb finishes day 7. Linda just doesn't really tell us anything about why they were there. The Z Syndicate, really. And that day ends, but day 8 starts, and Ernest calls us and says, hey, head over to Bogey's Pub. There's something going on. Some weird Robo is there, messing up the back. And so we're going to walk in, and it's going to end up being that strange Robo that killed that guy at the Chinese restaurant. It's here, and it's messing up the tables, it's breaking stuff, it's shooting its gun in the real world, it's shooting its bombs in the real world. It's horrifying. Everyone is very intimidated by this mysterious machine. We're going to find out much later that its name is Rahu. It's essentially this, alien robot that doesn't need to be in a cube or anything. It can just fly around and wreak havoc. And that its goal is the destruction of humanity. Which is pretty crazy. I don't know. Didn't really see that coming. Kind of came out of nowhere. But Harry's like, yeah, why don't you go fight it? So we're going to go fight it. And we have to win. But this fight can actually be a little scary. Rahu also uses legal parts. It's the Rahu parts. They're really strong. he's kind of broken. He's going to have extra damage. He's going to take less damage. He's going to fly around much faster than any other Robo, and he's going to fly around longer than any other Robo. The AI for this battle isn't the strongest Rahu AI. We're still kind of in the early game, and so the game kind of takes it easy on us, but you can see Bomb just took tons of damage. I think that was almost 200 damage from the one round of bullets. So it can sneak up on you. If you're not careful, if you get hit by the pods a little bit, you can end up taking too much damage and you can lose in these fights. The Rahu battles are going to be the scariest fights. But Bombom's going to end up beating Rahu. Very exciting. And Rahu's going to be incapacitated in the bar. But as opposed to us taking Rahu to the police or boxing him up and bringing him home, these guys show up. These are Morzi Syndicate guys. Aboro is the white-haired gentleman, and then the blue-haired guy is the mystery man who bumped into Marcia after Bogey's tournament. And she still thinks she maybe recognizes who that is, but doesn't really say anything about it to the cast. Just kind of keeping it to herself, being like, I don't know that person, or maybe I know that person, I'm not sure. We're going to fight against the mystery man right now. Harry's going to fight against Aboro. And the mystery man, being the Z Syndicate, also uses illegal parts. He has tons of illegal parts. His gun is very damaging. It's very annoying. It has a homing feature where he can shoot it and then it'll chase after you. So it's very hard to dodge. His Robo also has an enhanced charge length. It's just about as long as Rahu's. He can fly around very far, and it's hard to catch up. Even with the charge from the Metal Ape, he's having a hard time keeping up. And you can see Bombers getting down more frequently. This is a tougher fight. Shauny's just getting to Rahu now, and so let's hope that Shauny can also have an excellent Rahu battle. Maybe make up some time here, since Bombom's Mystery Man fight maybe wasn't super optimal. We're going to notice as the fights get harder and harder that they're going to look a little less clean. We're going to get down more frequently. We're going to go against more 2v2s, right? And those are going to be challenging. It's going to be tricky to tell what the optimal play is. Do you attack just one opponent? Do you switch opponents more often? So Harry is kind of having a moment like, what is going on? What's happening? Harry's sister and Linda are here now, and they kind of know what's going on. It seems like they have all of the ideas. They know exactly what that robot is. They know why it was here, but they won't tell us, and they leave. And Harry gets upset and says, let's just go home. Let's call it a night. And so that's going to be day 8. Shauny's currently fighting Rahu. It seems to be going pretty well. It seems to be going very well, I'd say. He's having an excellent Rahu 1. He's chasing him down. Rahu can't get away. And throwing the pods, throwing the damage. Oh, if that ended it, that would have been pretty nice. But I mean, he only lost like, what, 2 or 3 seconds? So it's... But that's just it right there. That's like, if you could have done that 9 extra damage, if one more bullet had landed, that would have been the end of the fight, save a little bit of time, but you end up losing those 2 seconds over, the 100 or so fights in the game. It'll definitely add up. So you got to try and be as optimal as possible. It can be really tricky. Bombom's in day 9, so we're really flying. This is the day the police decide to host their own tournament. It's the police tournament day, and this is the longest tournament day. It's gonna be it's not the last time we have just like a tournament battle, but this one's incredibly long. There's a lot of fights in this day. They're all 2v2s, so they're all really tricky. This is gonna be the day that we see a lot of either time gain or time loss, and a lot of it is gonna actually have to come down to Harry's RNG and his AI. A lot of the battles are going to be with Harry, and sometimes he's going to be able to do, 400, 500 damage, and it's going to save time. He's going to have a great fight. He's going to down the opponents. He's going to be doing damage. And then sometimes Harry's just going to do nothing. He's going to sit in the back and hide, and we're going to have to output all the damage ourselves, and that loses a lot of time. So a lot of this next tournament is going to be based on RNG. We're going to win the tournament. I'm not nervous. There's only 1 or 2 fights that are kind of hard. But as far as time save goes, it's going to really come down to how Harry does. Bombomb, of course, talking to every single person. You have to talk to every NPC to start the fights. That's very classic. And every time we're going to spawn in the middle like this, and we're going to have to run down to talk to the people we're fighting with Harry. Our first fight is going to be against Walt and Carmen's children. We just love fighting children, I guess. This fight's super easy. We love fighting against Steelhead. Steelhead takes tons of damage. It gets down forever. We love it. The other Robo, though, the Swift, is a little raider, and so it's not going to need to take a lot of damage to get downed, and it's also going to be able to run very fast. Bombomb appears to be... I think his plan is to focus down the Swift Robo the girls. I forget her name. But taking care of this one makes sense. So like that's just solo or focus the harder Robo in the fight, and then we'll go and we'll take care of the other one after. But you can see Harry's job was maybe to fight the other one, and he seems to be doing an actually okay job, right? The Steelhead's at like 700 HP. That's pretty good for Harry. I'm pretty impressed. Normally the fight will end, and the Robo will still have approximately 800 HP. Shauny seems to have ran the wrong way. That's very classic. He maybe forgot that he had to go to Steelhearts first before going to the police HQ. Everybody's been there. Everybody's done that, and he seemed to recognize it pretty quickly. I don't think he ran very far before he turned around, which is important. That's good, because that's just time loss, right? If you run the wrong way. But there's nothing worse than if he had gone all the way to the police HQ and just been like, oh, whoops. Harry will have a line like, why are we here? And then he'll have to go all the way back to Steelhearts. So that's not good. Bombom's fighting those guys we fought in the park. They're friends now. Anthony and Thomas. After we beat them, they ran away and they talked about how they're friends. Now they're gonna be friends. It's very cute for them. The next hardest fight's not for a while. These fights are pretty light, which is pretty exciting. Shauny's being in the process of just talking to every NPC. Bombomb outputting tons of damage, which we love. Harry even... Oh no, Harry's hitting. No, Harry's doing okay. This is okay. I'm excited to see how Shauny's fights go. Harry's never the same from one battle to another, and so it'd be really great to see Harry just go off, save Shauny some time getting back and caught up to Bombomb. Bombomb doing an excellent job. He's been practicing a ton recently. He started playing this game maybe a little over a year ago, and it was his first speed game. Was Custom Robo. This was what got him into it. He liked the Custom Robo franchise just as playing it as a kid, and he started playing this. And he ended up beating a lot of records. Not this category's record, but we have a New Game Plus category, and we have a low percent category, and there's actually a second story after this one, almost like a second playthrough, but it's called The Grand Battle. This is a new journey. And so the 100% run ends up being about 5 hours long. I actually don't know if he's done 100% run or not, but I know he has done a great battle. Bombomb mentioned it, playing a lot of Wind Waker now. He's kind of transitioning over. He's trying that out. He's learning that run, trying some other things. I know Shauny is also trying some other games as well. But they keep coming back to Custom Robo. There's nothing better. It's a good time. They love Robo battles. Shauny does seem to be doing a great job. Both Robos are definitely very low. This fight's almost over. Bombomb now fighting against... I missed it. I can't tell. I honestly can't tell. We'll have to figure out at the end of the game. At the end of the fight. Shauny's now starting against Anthony and Thomas. This day is going to be... There's tons of battles in this day. It's a lot of this. It's going to be them running up to the counter, starting the fights, and then fighting as optimally as possible, trying to save as much time as possible, and crossing their fingers that Harry is going to also decide to fight. That can be a big part of it. Alright, who is Bombomb going to be fighting next? Bombomb is fighting... Oh, it's the police guys. Okay, that makes sense. That fight's super easy. That means his next fight should be against Bogey and his waiter. Oh no, it's against Walton Carmen. Okay, so this is the Walton Carmen fight. There's tons of fights in this day. You have to do this one, at least the Bogey and the waiter fight, and then there's a fight against Mira and her partner Roy. Walton Carmen's on the ice stage again, so of course we're on the ice stage. We hate the ice stage. We'll just have to see how Bombomb does. He's been doing an excellent job with it. It hasn't been a problem for him. He's been doing a great job moving around on this big stage with the feather legs also, right? He's using that different leg from Shauny. He's using the one that makes him jump a little longer, as opposed to jumping farther. He seems to be targeting the Carmen, the green robot, but also switching to the yellow one when Carmen goes down. Just to keep his damage high, right? Because you can do more damage to a not downed Robo. Shooting a Robo that's down cuts your damage by a bit, so it makes sense to be able to do the most amount of damage you can, switching back and forth. But it's all situational, right? He's not going to run all the way across the stage to try and fight the yellow one, and all the way back across the stage to fight the green one. These are all just decisions he's making on the fly. Like, would it make more sense to attack the yellow one right now? Should I wait for Carmen to just get back up and keep fighting the green one? And they're tricky decisions, and they only lose a little bit of time, right? If you pick an unoptimal decision, you lose maybe a second or two. But again, there's just so many fights that it starts to add up, and that's the tricky part about running this category. That's why the first sub 2 and the second sub 2 were so far apart. It takes a lot of decision-making skills. It takes a lot of practice. It no longer takes excellent mashing skills, thank goodness. That was a huge bear for a lot of people, was being able to mash optimally for so long. Because again, Shauny counted the text boxes. I think there's 4,172 text boxes in this game. Each one takes 3 inputs to clear, and so we're talking about 12,000 inputs in 2 hours. And that's not even thinking about the fights. So often the runner, you get tired, you start mashing less optimally as the run goes on, and you start losing time there. Now that Turbo's around, we don't have to worry about that. We also don't have to worry about our own health problems. I know that Turbo's pretty controversial. A lot of different speed game communities might not love that or use that yet, but I think, at least for this game, I think it was important that we add that. I think it makes the game a lot more accessible for a lot more people, and keeps our runners healthy. It means people can run the game for a lot longer without getting just burnt out. Means you can get more attempts in a day. Also, I mean, I don't know how many 2-hour attempts you can send in one day, but now at least a part of that I can't do another one is not just my arms are too tired to do another one, which is exciting. Bombomb had a nice waiter and bogey fight. And now we're going to go against Mira and Roy. And so this fight's actually kind of challenging. Roy uses the Magnum gun. He also has one of those Robos with the blink dash, which is very cool. I'm a huge fan of those. But the Magnum gun, similar to the shotgun, is incredibly close range, which is a bummer because we want to be in that range. And just like the shotgun, it'll down you in one hit and it'll do tons of damage. So if Roy decides to be on top of it, there's a lot of potential time loss here. But Mira also is annoying. Mira's gun, it's called the Ion Gun, and it doesn't do a lot of damage. Ooh. Bombomb just got hit by the Magnum and then dashed, so it was a good amount of damage, but he recovered. But Mira's gun, the Ion Gun, doesn't do a whole lot of damage, so we're not worried about losing from it. But the effect of the gun is that it knocks you back, it stuns you, and it pushes you away. And so we are likely to lose a lot of time if Mira ends up hitting us. It looks like Bombomb is trying to focus Roy, but there's so much going on, right? There's the bombs, there's the pods, there's the guns, and so he's taking tons of damage, he's getting knocked around, but he still wins. He still wins the fight. He's low HP, but it honestly went by pretty quick. It wasn't so bad. That's just what these 2v2 battles look like, right? They're a little hectic, they're a little chaotic. It's hard to have this totally choreographed. At least in the 1v1 battles, we know, right? We can down them with one shot of a 3-way if we're close enough, and then we can keep hitting the 3-way from close range, knock them into the air, and chase them after they rebirth. Because if they rebirth in the air, they're gonna dash. In the 2v2s, you never know what's gonna happen. Your partner might hit you with a bomb, and now you're down. Or the other enemy might hit you from behind, and now you got down, but you also lost 100 HP. So you gotta be on top of it. You're looking at both the enemies, you're looking at your HP, you're looking at their HPs, and you're remembering your inputs, right? You have to know, okay, I'm gonna dash, I'm gonna bomb. There's a lot going through these runners' heads during these fights. Okay, Shauny also doing Mira and Roy now, so Shauny's catching back up. Bombomb is doing now, it's a 1v1, which is interesting. Mira's been having a really tough time. We find out throughout the course of the game, maybe like half an hour ago, we found out that she, because of her special powers that she has, tends to be a little more emotionally sensitive, the game said. And so she's having a really hard time having seen the Mystery Man. The fact that the Mystery Man is around is bringing up something in her we don't know yet as the character, but we can tell that she's upset. She's clearly not feeling well. And Harry is not a very smart person. Kind of rudely decides that, what'll make Marsha feel better? I'll drop out and we'll force her to do the fights. Definitely not what I would have done. And this scene, he ends up saying, like, hey, Connor, or Hero needs you. You're going to have to get in there and try and fight with him. And she's like, you know what? Okay, I will help my friends. And that's like a turning moment for her. Not the best writing, in my honest opinion. This game is it's 20 years old now. I don't know if they handled that situation as well as they could have. But that is what happened. And so now Marcia is with us. She's going to join us in the 2v2 against Ernest and Linda, our boss and the lab lady. Ernest isn't very scary here. He uses the metal bear, which is another metal grappler, just like the metal ape, so very similar stats. He's going to take a lot of damage before getting knocked down, which is good for us, right? We can spam three-way and take him out. Linda's the scarier one. She has the bee gun. I think it's called the Hornet gun, but I call it the bee gun. And it shoots bees. They home at you. She shoots them and they chase after you. They'll knock you down if they hit you, and they can do a significant amount of damage, especially at close range, and so we need to be just careful when we're getting too close to Linda. Bombomb is focusing Linda, and Linda's down. And now Ernest should be cake, right? He's going to just shoot the three-way at Ernest, chase him down, and that's going to be the end of the fight. Shauny is now in his evil fight, so still just catching up, doing his best. Pretty much officially one fight behind now, one fight in a little line of dialogue. I think that's where he's been for a while, but I think it's getting a little closer. And even so, even though this day was very long, there's a lot coming up. There's a lot of lore mashing that we have to get through, and so mashing optimally can save some time. There's still tons of fights. Day 12 has the most fights in the whole game, so even though Day 9, this was a long tournament day, this wasn't the most fights in one day. There's still a lot left to play. Bombomb is now awake at night. It's not Day 10 for him yet. He's going to Harry's house. Harry and his sister decide that they're going to have a dinner party because we won the tournament, and they're just happy that we won. And so we're going to go to the dinner party, and we're pretty much just going to have dialogue. They just talk about the hero's father and the hero's cool watch. It's just a little bit more of a lore dump for us, and we don't really learn anything new, right? We know, like, oh, Hero's dad left when he was young. He got the will in the mail that said become a commander, and right before his dad left, the hero received the watch from his father, and all he knows is that it's a special watch, and he should keep it with him all the time. That's it. That being said, dinner party's over, and Day 10 is going to start. Bombom's going to go over to Steel Hearts, his work, and then go back to the police center, because the police want to host a training day, like a training exercise for some of their staff, and we're going to be involved since we won the tournament. Shauny's just about to finish up the Linda fight. Shauny ended up taking out Ernest first, which is pretty interesting. I wonder how that happened. I wonder if he decided to switch between the targets. Maybe it was more optimal to take out the green one. Maybe the green one was closer. Maybe he focused Ernest, or maybe Linda ended up flying away and he just thought, okay, I'll switch over. It seemed to work out fine for him. He made it through. He's doing okay. He's going to go home, and then he's going to go over to Harry's house for dinner as well. Bombomb now back at the police station. He's going to go talk to the chief, and the chief is going to be like, hey, welcome back. We're going to have a training exercise. We're going to have each one of you guys fight a bunch of our people. And so Harry fights everybody. He beats them all. Marcia fights everybody. She beats them all. And it's going to be our turn. And so we're going to fight 2 police goons. And then, ooh, actually, interesting that just happened. I wish I had talked about it a minute ago. We'll watch it on Shauny's screen. Bombomb opted to walk to the right around the table to talk to the chief. There's actually one piece of tech we have in this game. It's called the Harry clip. And you can walk to the left in between the table and Harry right there. You can squeak right through him. It saves no time over walking to the right. But your character model kind of gets pushed through Harry. It looks like you kind of clip through him. Very interesting. The one piece of tech we kind of do have, Harry clip. Kind of just squeak right past him. Saves no time. Very exciting. But he's going to fight these 2 goons. And then he's going to fight Roy and Mira. And then he's going to fight Linda and the chief. Out of all those fights, none are incredibly difficult. I mean, Linda still has the bee gun, which we have to watch out for. Roy still has the magnum that we have to watch out for, and Mira has the ion gun, which can push us away. But it's nothing we haven't seen before, and the Metal Ape kind of handles it very well. These AI aren't incredibly strong right now. It's still kind of the mid-game, the late mid-game, and so we should be okay. Bombomb starting his second fight, and Shauny is just about to get there to start his first. He's going to have to get through some dialogue first. So Shauny's a little bit behind, and that's okay. We'll have to watch to see if Shauny will do the Harry clip. It's going to come up in about a second or two, like 5 or 10 seconds. Marsha's going to finish her fights. We just saw this. And then Hero's going to have to walk up to the Chief. And he can walk right... Yep, there it is, the Harry clip. Oh, he got stuck on Marsha, so I don't even... Maybe he actually lost time going for it. But we saw it. He went for the Harry clip. We love that. Bombomb now fighting against one of the lackeys, one of the goons from the police station. Oh, he's getting hit. Okay, he didn't get down. If he had gotten down, that could have been some time loss, but he ended up staying up, and that's just because the Metal Ape, we love the Metal Ape. It can take a lot of damage before getting down, unless it's like a one-hit down gun, like a shotgun or a magnum. But getting hit by the afterburner like that actually isn't going to be a huge deal. We can just shoot him and be okay after that. And so that's both police goons down for Bombomb, and Shauny's about to finish his first one. Bombomb's next fight's against Linda, and as we know, Linda has the B gun. She's gonna have the same kit this time as last time, pretty much just a Linda refight. So we're gonna have to be cautious of the Bs, because they can down us and keep us away. He's just gonna use the same strat that he's been using. He's gonna try and get real close to Linda, spam the three-way, and do as much damage as possible. That is the name of the game, right? We're gonna dash up to him, and then three-way as often as possible. 1 3-way, 2 3-ways, 3 3-ways, and she'll rebirth, dash away, and he'll dash after him. Right, and that's how this is going to look. And if he can do that without getting downed, without really missing any frames or ticks or seconds, then that'd be like a most optimal fight. Like, that was really, really great. That went insanely well for Bombomb. It was a perfect in the sense that he lost no damage, and it looked pretty perfect from the sense that he didn't lose a whole lot of time. Probably none. It was a very great fight. These one-on-one fights are a lot easier to manage than the 2v2s, right? When it's just the one enemy, you can make sure that they're going to land up in the air when they rebirth, so you can dash after them. You can make sure that you can stay next to them and shoot them while they're down. You can ensure that the bomb is going to hit and stun them if they're going to, like, right after they land from being in the air. There's like some lag, some landing frames. Nice Shauny using the charge there to make sure that he ends that fight. The charge still does some good damage, and it's a good way to end the fight if the enemies get too far away to really use the three-way. Bombomb now fighting against Roy, and you can see he's using the Magnum to keep Bombomb away a little bit. But Bombomb saying, I don't care, I'm going to hit you with my charge anyway. And the charge on the Metal Ape is very good in that you can use it to block damage. You can charge through bombs and pods and guns and take no damage. We're going to use that a lot in the final boss fight for sure. Ooh, Roy falling in the magma and losing that way. That's very interesting. A lot of the police members, they're called holoseums, these like arenas that we fight in. A lot of the police members have the lava pools in theirs. And stepping in the lava, you take like about 100 damage, get knocked high in the air, and get instantly downed. So you want to avoid that at all costs, but occasionally, if you can get lucky, they'll run into it on their own, or you can push them into it for some free damage. They also take about 100 damage if they're downed, and they land in the lava. And so the lava is actually a great way to speed up a lot of fights if you can manipulate the enemy in some way so that they fall in. That would be excellent. I know there's a fight later in the game where most of the map is lava. Shauny was frequently complaining that in his record, his PB, he knocked that guy in the lava 5 times, which is impressive. That's a lot of times. And so that fight was incredibly fast in his PB. And so when he does that fight now, he almost always loses time. And so he hates that fight. He's like, this is my least favorite fight in the game, because it's hard to make it go that well. Maybe we can see some action like that in this run. It'd be pretty exciting. Runners really like neck and neck. It's a lot more obvious to see how close to each other they are when they're in the tournament setting, when there's not a lot of walking or talking, if it's just the fights. Shauny just now starting the Roy fight, and Bombomb just now started, or hasn't even yet started the fight against the Chief. The Chief uses the Metal Ox Robo. It's another Metal Grappler. There's the Metal Ape, the Metal Bear, and the Metal Ox. The Ox can tank the most amount of damage without getting downed. So often these fights are very, very fast, right? You can just use the three-way, do tons of damage. The charge will knock him down right away and prevent you from doing more damage. So you don't want to charge to do as much damage as possible. Most of the time they'll charge if they think that they're going to get charged or if they're going to get knocked down. It's like a safety measure. You use the charge. And so he just did that. He just charged to dodge that charge. That way he won't get knocked down. He'll lose less time if he stays up and charges than if he were to get downed and had to rebirth and maybe let the Chief run away. So Bombomb finishing that fight, Shauny starting this one. I guess that's almost 2 fights away. So it's still anybody's game. It's very close. Bombomb just finishes this training session. We're done. And the police members are revealing that this wasn't just a training exercise. That since we've won the police tournament and we beat everybody, they're recommending us for a higher level license. We took the license exam on day 3 earlier in the run so that we could be bounty hunters. We got a Class D license. You need a Class A license to become a police member, but we don't want to be police members. They're offering us to take this test to become Class S licensed. It's top secret, it's classified, essentially becoming a Class S licensed holder. No one will know you even have a Class S, but you're able to know some classified stuff, and it's going to be information on Rahu, that's mysterious, autonomous Robo from before. And so Bombomb right now is starting the Rahu 1 refight. This fight is very, very hard. It's our first actual hard fight of the run. This is a very losable fight. Rahu's going to do tons of damage. It's actually the same exact parts from the first fight, but we just feel like the AI is so much better. It's like not even close. It's going to shoot a lot more. It's going to bomb a lot more. It's going to pot a lot more. Bombomb is going to try to make sure that he's controlling Rahu as much as possible. He's staying close. He's using his bombs. He's using his pods. He's dashing where he needs to dash. He's still taking a significant amount of damage. It's theorized that a fight later in the game is supposed to use this AI because there's a fight later in the game that is trivial compared to what's going on. And this fight is just so much harder than what we just did. Bombomb still finishing it fine. Took a significant amount of damage. Got downed a couple times, but won it just the same. A win is a win. We'll take it. It's much better than the alternative, right? You'd rather lose 10 or 15 seconds in a slower fight than lose and have to spend a minute refighting or 2 minutes refighting. So that ended up being not the worst case scenario there for Bomb.
Yeah.
Bomb now. Hi.
Hi. In the case of using Feather X, it is difficult to seek with fighting love first at second time.
It's hard. It's hard to seek him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because distance jump length is very short. Feather X.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, the feather legs.
Yes.
Yep, so chasing Rahu 1 when he flies away like that is much more challenging. I can totally see that. And that's just another downside to the feather legs, but Bombomb really likes him because he's able to get that 3-way damage out more consistently because his jumps are a little bit longer. So Bombomb had an excellent Rahu 1 fight. He's maybe a little handicapped with those legs, but he still was able to hang on. Shauny just now starting his Rahu 1 fight. And you can clearly see right there, Shauny definitely able to catch up to Rahu a little faster. He uses the charge attack to block all of Rahu's inputs twice in a row there and connects with the charge. Shauny having a very, very good Rahu 1 refight right now. Meanwhile, for Bombomb, he ends up heading back to the Chinese restaurant. He's at Daimon. We got a call saying that Robo, Rahu, is there. But when we get there, we find Evil fighting it and winning. Evil ends up winning against Rahu, which is crazy. His plan was to give it to the mysterious woman from Z, Eliza. And when she shows up, she says, "Oh, Evil, I don't know you." And he's heartbroken. He's sad. He's like, well, what am I doing? And now we're going to fight her. We're going to fight her to try and steal Rahu back for ourselves. Shauny's at the police station right after Rahu one fight, and he's learning out a lot of truths about the world. The police members are telling us now Rahu's Holoseum looks the way it does because it's natural. Earlier, all the characters were like, why do the trees, why does the grass feel this way? Why isn't it made out of plastic? Why is it not metal? Because they don't know what trees and grass should feel like in this like futuristic society they live in. But Rahu has real trees, real grass, real dirt. And so it's very interesting. They're like, I don't understand any of this. And they all just go home. We're going to head back to the police station momentarily after Bombomb beats Oboro and the Mystery Man. Now it's a 2v2. He's going to fight, I believe, with Harry. I missed it. I think it's with Harry. They're going to fight these guys. He's probably going to focus... I don't know which one he's going to focus down. The Mystery Man, we know his setup. He's going to be able to fly around very fast. He's going to have the homing gun. Oboro, the yellow character, is going to have illegal parts as well. He's going to be able to blink further than usual and more times than a usual Robo would. He's also going to use a gun called the Worm Gun, like worm with a Y, like the dragon-style worm. It's a very, very strong gun. It's essentially a sniper if in the air, and like a rapid-fire rocket launcher on the ground. Like that was it just now. Though she's firing it at Marcia. I believe that's Marcia. And so this fight's going fine. I'm losing a little bit of time, right? He's firing from far away, which is going to do less damage than being up close, but he's much safer back there. He's going to make sure the bullets land. And he's more able to, he's trapping the Mystery Man in that corner, which is interesting, too. Being able to say, okay, if you go left, I'll go left. If you go right, I'll go right. He's outputting damage. Shauny still fighting the Mystery Woman from Z, Eliza. I believe it's Eliza. This fight normally ends up going fine. She has illegal parts and everything, but she just stays in the air and we wait for her to come down, and then we attack her with bombs and gun, and she pretty much can't really do very much. This fight, Shauny's fight, probably easier than Bombomb's fight, but Shauny's to be doing that same fight that Bombomb's doing right now. Since Bombomb won this battle, we'll see Oboro and the Mystery Man throw a smoke bomb and steal Rahu, which is kind of lame. We beat them and they're still going to escape. And so we decide, you know what, this is maybe over our heads. The Z Syndicate's pretty scary. They have the mystery alien robot. Let's go to the police. We should probably go to the police, let them know what's going on. And so we're going to go to the cops and we're going to say, hey, the Z Syndicate has Rahu. Like, what does that mean? And the cops are going to tell us lots of things. It's going to be kind of crazy. This is a big lore dump for us. We're finding out right now that the mass populace believes that the world is flat, and also that there's a wall at the end of the world. There's a big wall that goes around us, where essentially the world itself is just a dome. It's the town that we live in, and the sky is this big wall. And the police chief is going to say, well, that's actually not true, and the bathroom of the police station is an elevator. So I'm going to take you down into the basement of the police station, and we're going to take this train. And so the members of the cast are about to hop on this train, and they're going to drive over to the edge of the world, and they're going to look outside and see a ruined wasteland, essentially. Hundreds and hundreds of years ago, Rahu went around just destroying humans and civilization and everything. It was tragic. Rahu's goal was the extermination of mankind, and he almost succeeded. As far as we know, the only humans that are left are in this one city, in this one dome that they built to keep Rahu out. And we'll get a good look at that in a moment as we walk through this really cool looking tunnel. It looks like it's very space-y, trying to make it look like, I don't know, futuristic or freaky. I'm not sure why they did this. It actually is just inside of a statue in the wall. Actually, it's that statue that was on Shauny's screen. I don't know if anybody was looking at Shauny's screen. It was a statue on Shauny's screen in the back behind Daimon. That's where we are right now. And there's this one door that's going to let us outside. And we're going to get a good look at the wasteland that Rahu left. We believe that the Z Syndicate is out there. They have a base. We can actually literally see it. It's that white set of buildings over there is the Z hideout. They know about the secret of the outside somehow, and they have another way outside somehow. And we don't know what their deal is. Maybe they're going to tell everybody Nobody knows, but the fact that they have Rahu is very bad. And the characters are freaked out. They're like, wow, this is crazy. Like, in school I learned the world is flat. How are you going to tell me the world is round? I need like a day to like figure out how I feel about all this stuff. And so we all go home, and we're all going to wake up and go back to the police station and decide, you know what, let's join the fight, and let's go outside and let's fight the Z Syndicate and take Rahu back, even though it's going to be like really dangerous and scary. Well, let's do it. And so that's what we're going to do. This is the start of day 12 for us. This is the final day. That's the last day we're going to wake up in the bed. This is the last time we're going to go to Steel Hearts in the run. The rest of the run pretty much is going to take place in the outside. We're going to go to the Z hideout, do a bunch of battles, go to a second location, do a bunch of battles, and also the final fight. We still have a good amount left in the run, just because of the sheer number of fights and lore that we still need to go through. And so, I mean, it's still really anybody's run, right? The discrepancy in Shauny and Bombomb's time has been pretty much even throughout. So it's really just going to take either one mistake from Shauny, or rather Bombomb, or Shauny just having some really clean fights to get back up. I don't feel like he's fallen any further behind. It might look like he's very far behind right now just because of all the different like changes in scenes and the different dialogue, but once we see multiple fights in one area, again, we'll notice. We'll be like, oh, he's just one fight behind, or oh, he's just 2 fights behind. And we're going to be fighting very soon, right? Bombomb is about to get right back into it. He's about to take the train and fly back over to the Z hideout, where they're pretty much going to storm the castle, right? I'm pretty surprised how many members of Z there are. I don't know where they get all these guys, but there's tons of goons and lackeys that we're going to battle, and a lot of them are going to be the hardest fights in the game so far, right? They're going to have cool robos, they're going to have good guns, we're going to see a lot of shotguns, we're going to see a lot of lava stages and ice stages. We're going to have a lot of 2v2 fights, and then we're going to have some significant boss battles too, which is pretty exciting. Fights against the Syndicate leaders, some fights against Rahu are coming up. But our characters are excited. They're brave, and they are ready for battle. Shauny now making it to Steel Hearts. A little bit behind Bombomb. He's going to talk to Ernest. Ernest is pretty much going to say, the police told me you're going on a pretty crazy mission. But I trust you guys. I like you guys. You got to come back. Really exciting stuff. Oh, yeah. So, Shauny, I don't know how I almost forgot. Shauny's about to talk to the chief, and they're all going to decide whether they want to go or not. And there's going to be a yes or no option, right? It's like, are you sure you're ready to go? And Marcia and Harry are both going to say, yeah, I want to go. And we're going to say yes, too, just to save time. You have to say I'll go. But there's actually a no option, and if you pick it, there's dialogue for it. You can say, no, I don't feel like going. I actually don't think I'm going to go. And Harry's like, well, come on, I don't know. Like, we got to do it. Like, Rahu's going to end the world. And you can keep saying no, and if you say no 20 times, Harry just decides, you know what, fine. Don't come. We don't need you. We'll do it without you. And the game fades to black, and there's a line of text that says something like, your friends went to beat Rahu but failed, and Rahu came to the town and destroyed everybody and ended the world. The end. And we actually do have a bad ending category in the leaderboards, and it would end right there. You would just hold B or mash B and say, I don't want to go 20 times to end the whole run. And the run ends up being about 40 minutes faster than any percent, which gives you a good idea of how much we have left. We probably have about 30 to 45 minutes left in the run. But pretty funny that they have that included. I don't know. Like most Pokemon games, you can say no to something, and it'll just give you the same dialogue back until you say yes. But this game, each time you say no is a unique dialogue option, and then finally they're just like, okay, you lose then. I guess you just lose. Cracks me up. So Bombomb just won his first fight in the Z hideout. They've stormed the castle. They've decided they're going to split up because it's huge. And so Marcia and Roy head to the right, and Hero, Harry, and Mira, Harry's sister, are all going to head this way. And they each take one guy. We beat them all. The next fight is going to be against Shiner. Shiner refight. Shiner's just as easy as he was the first time. The really only challenge is that if you let him get away from you, he can fly around a bunch and you'll lose a lot of time. The goal, of course, is going to be to hit him with a 3-way from up close, wait for him to rebirth, but in the air. Hopefully you've knocked him into the air, so he rebirths in the air. He'll dash away, and we'll just follow him. and then we'll repeat the cycle. And so let's see how Bombomb does with this. Let's see, he's going to three-way, keep him in the air, he's going to dash after him, and he's going to knock him down again. And he's just going to, that's going to be how this fight goes. If for some reason, like, he misses, and then maybe he starts taking damage. Nope, he just downs him. This is so far so good, right? A bad Shiner fight would look like maybe Shiner gets a down on you, and then he starts flying around wasting time. Bombomb, that was a pretty good fight. Bombomb's looking incredible. He's doing an excellent job. Shauny catching up now. Shauny doing the first fight in the hideout right now. So really still just like that 1 or 2 fights away from each other, right? I guess this would be 2 fights, right? 2 cool fights. Bombomb is going to go through 3 fights in this room. There's some new tech we've discovered. How's he gonna do it? Okay, yeah. Oh, he messed it up.
But
he went
I
around.
miss.
Yeah, he missed. Bombomb is, so he went for, you can talk to the Z guy if you go between Mira and the other Z Syndicate member. It saves, not a whole lot of time, right? You save the time walking around, like Bombomb had to in the end. But I suppose missing it would lose a little bit of time. But very teeny time saves. The guy we're going to fight after this is going to be the guy who's fighting Mira. And so we'll just quickly be able to start and initiate that dialogue and start that fight regardless. We were just hoping to save the walk around time. But I'm having a really clean fight there. Knocking that guy in the lava to take some extra damage is huge. Shauny now starting the next fight against Shiner right now. So doing fine. He's catching up. Pretty bad roll from Shauny. It looks like he rolled over the die a little bit. We're hoping to land on 1, right? I only mentioned it once, but when the cubes shoot out of the cannon, right when the match starts, there's a randomly generated number. We might be able to see bomb-bombs. It looks like a 5. And so it's going to start counting down, and Bomb-Bomb can hold the A button to make that go down faster. Ideally, right when he gets the opportunity, just like that, he'll be able to press A and start the fight. Shauny landing on 6 like that just means he has to mash A a little bit, loses a little bit of time getting out of the cube. Bomb-Bomb trying to dunk this guy. This is the fight where Shauny said he dunked this guy 5 times, which just would make the fight incredibly quick, right? You dunk him, and it does 100 damage each time. The needle gun is one to look out for. So this guy's using the needle gun, and it's just got quick bullets. You can spam it like that, and they fire in a straight line. Shauny got the talking between Mira and the lackey now, and so he's starting that fight against the first lackey, this one that he fought. So Bomb-Bomb still pretty consistently 2 fights away. It doesn't matter for this next fight where you stand, whether you're standing where Bomb-Bomb was standing or where Shauny was standing, because that walk he does to Underpants Man is actually totally scripted. That's part of the cutscene. We don't have to walk from wherever we were standing. The pro tag just walks that way. So now we're going to fight against Underpants Man, who's actually a really challenging fight. He's using the Metal Ox, which we know doesn't get down very often. It's tanky, but he also uses the shotgun, and so if we don't down him on our first rotation of bullets, we can get hit with a shotgun or a charge, like almost happened to Bomb-Bomb, and that can do a lot of damage to us. It can down us. This fight can be a challenging one. Bomb-Bomb making light work of it, as always. Yeah, not going to get hit with any shotguns here, I think. Yeah, clean fight. Very clean fight. Shauny now doing his least favorite fight in the whole game because of the whole, I dunked this guy too many times in my PB. Let's see how many times you can get a dunk on him. It would be very exciting to see a lot go down. That's 1. So this fight's already, I mean, look at, just the 1 makes him already at 700 HP. But look at the needle gun doing work, right? The needle gun just is quick bullets. They down you quickly. You lose a lot of time, even if you don't lose a lot of damage, right? Even if Shauny might win the fight at like 800 or 750 HP or wherever he's at, but he did just lose a significant amount of time getting shot by the needle gun. And that's where that time loss comes in. That's where we're seeing these discrepancies. I'm now fighting against the Little Raider. These guys are annoying because they get down so fast. I feel like you can't get good damage output on them. Really doing a good job of staying with them, though. They're fast on their feet and in the air, and so it can be challenging to stay next to them the whole time. Fun fact about this Robo, this NPC that Bombbomb's fighting now, you can actually beat this guy without firing any weapons at all. If you just run around the stadium and try to keep yourself alive, that enemy will run himself into the lava and walk into his own pods enough, where he will just do enough damage to himself to lose. It would be really slow for the speedrun, but I suppose that's the one fight where you can win pacifist style. Bombomb now beginning fights against the scientists. There's 2 scientists in the room to fight both. Shauny having an excellent fight against Underpants Man, landing the standard bomb, stunning him, finishing him with a 3-way. I saw him practicing this fight earlier this morning. That was definitely his best fight all day in this room. That was excellent. He got it perfect. Bombomb looking good, fighting the scientists. Mira ends up losing to the guy who she was fighting, so Harry's going to stay in that room and just like bandage her up, essentially, while we move on. We're going to move on solo through the hideout. That's what we're doing currently. And so Bombomb just beat... Oh, he hit no. Okay, he hit yes. Oh, maybe that was the only dialogue we had yes for. Almost always we want to just do the top dialogue option, just because it doesn't waste a lot of time. Sometimes it is faster. There's one instance where the bottom one is faster. After the training tournament on day 6, I believe. I had thought that Bombomb hit the bottom option after the green text. If you ever hit it after green text, and it's essentially like, the green text is always tutorial text, and so if an NPC gives you green text, they're teaching you about the game, and the bottom option is always like, oh no, I didn't get that, can you repeat that? And so if you accidentally hit the bottom option, they'll just go through the green text again, and it wastes a lot of time. And so I thought that's what happened. That is not what happened. Both runners really having no problems at all with their mashing. It seems like it's very good. I'm not seeing any like inoptimal mashing. Nobody's forgetting a text box. Everybody's completing everything. Nobody's picking the wrong dialogue options. There is one more very significant moment with the text boxes coming up. It's called bathroom skip. And so maybe I'm a liar. Maybe there is one piece of tech that we have, but it is, intended by the game. It's very similar to the bad ending route. And so I don't know. We call it bathroom skip because it skips fights in the bathroom. And I'll talk more about it when it comes. It should be happening maybe in like 10 or 15 minutes. So Bombomb just fought the first double battle with Roy. Most speedrunners hate Roy. They say that Roy is the worst partner out of all the partners we get. He tends to just kind of hide in the back and not do anything. This specific fight is the harder of the two with Roy. This is going to be the last time we fight with Roy. The green Robo uses a lightning sky model, so it can fly around. It also has a gun that's good at range and at keeping you at range, so it's going to try and fly around and keep us away. The yellow Robo is going to use a shotgun, and so it appears that Bombomb is focusing the yellow one down, because the shotgun is kind of scary. We don't like shotguns. They do a ton of damage. They'll down us in one hit. They waste a lot of time. And we're going to let Roy do most of the damage to the green one, and we'll just see we'll see how much damage he actually does. So far, it seems he's actually done a significant amount, right? And so this is kind of what I'm talking about. Like, it's very RNG heavy what your partner actually does do. The fact that he did 500 damage is very impressive. I'd like to see how much Roy does on Shauny's side, because that saves a lot of time, right? You don't have to do as much damage now to the robot. Which is also doing a very good job keeping Bombomb away, right? That's an example of how that weapon can push Metal Ape away from the enemy, and they're also flying away, and that's just losing time. But really good fight regardless. The shotgun guy was very fast. These are where the fights are going to start getting harder, especially the 2v2 fights. There's just so much going on. It's hard to have perfectly optimal fights, and that's why these sub 2 times are so rare. I think the task time something like a 148 or something like that. And so there is, time to save out there. But the AI of the Robos is just very RNG heavy. It's not just kind of like, I could have been playing more optimally. It's like, oh man, Roy did a bad job, and then I couldn't predict which way it was going to dash or how it was going to use its bomb. All the fights are very RNG heavy, and so it's hard to like perfectly optimize everything. But we do our best. That's what this is all about. Like, using this setup is meant to try and predict how the AI is going to act and manipulate them to dashing so we can follow them, etc. We're finding out now Oboro and the Mystery Man, who we actually know isn't just a mystery man anymore. It is officially Marcia's brother, Sergey. He went missing a few years ago. He was on the police squad, and then he left the police squad mysteriously and vanished. We found him. He was working with the Z Syndicate. We were gonna fight him and Oboro for Rahu. They've got Rahu in a container over there in a tube. But Sergey picks now as the moment to betray Oboro. And so this is the fight, the Any Percent Stories only 3v1 fight. It's going to be Hero, Marcia, and Sergey, Marcia's brother, the mystery blue-haired man, against Oboro. Which I think is funny, because Oboro is genuinely a hard fight. Like, his parts are illegal. They're very strong. But the 3v1 nature of it just makes this fight so easy. I really feel like there's no real way to lose this fight. People have tested it in the Discord and the community, just starting this battle and then hiding and not doing anything, and seeing if just Sergey and Marcia can beat Oboro, and they do almost every time. They said one time they saw Oboro defeat Marcia and then put Sergey to like 50 HP, but he still lost. And so I feel like there's no losing that fight. And this next fight too, Oboro's gonna dive. It's called a dive when you like go in and you use your Robo. And so he's gonna dive into Rahu and attempt to control Rahu and fight us. But I just feel like with the Hero and Marcia, the 2v1, this fight also tends to be easy. This is the one earlier where I said that the Rahu 1 refight is very hard. We think that maybe the AI was switched by accident when the game was created. We think it was switched with this AI. We think that Rahu 2, this is Rahu 2, because it's evolved, it's upgraded, it does more damage now. You can see their down cycle was very fast. They got down and they got right back up. It's got upgrades. Rahu's scarier now on paper. But just the AI that it uses is not as good as the Rahu 1 refight. We think this fight it tends to feel easier, and we're not sure if it is because of Marcia, or if it's because of the stage, or maybe they really did make a mistake in development. We don't really know. We have no idea. But okay, so bombomb finishing Rahu right now, while Shauny is just starting the Oboro fight. So Shauny's just catching up, right? We're still pretty much neck and neck. It's close. Really excellent gameplay from both players. It's been very, very impressive. Shauny's best time, of course, we mentioned it was a 1:59.20. Bombomb's was the 1:59.56. Both incredibly impressive times. I think third place is like 2:05. And then before that, third place used to be 2:07 before Bombomb got here. And so, I mean, both these players leagues above the rest of the community. We're seeing the best of the best custom Robo gameplay right now. Speaking of the best gameplay right now, Bombomb is starting the lore dump. This is essentially a big text cutscene. Bombomb is mashing, you can see his thumb. He's mashing through over 300 text boxes. This is about 1,000 inputs that he's going to input in the next like minute and a half.
Wrong firing time.
Yeah, it
so
hurts.
tired.
Yep, it's been a long run. He's been doing this the whole time, and now this is when it all comes together. I'm sure his forearms are killing him. This is not easy stuff. But essentially, we're learning. Sergey comes clean. He's like, "Hey, like I'm Sergey. I left the police when I came out here, and I met Hero's dad." And so we find out that our dad actually was the leader of Z before he passed. And his whole deal was that he wants Rahu defeated. That's what Z was founded for. And after he passed, the now leaders are fighting over control. They think that they should control Rahu instead of defeating him. And the special watch is the key. The special watch essentially is like a memory erasure device. And it was used hundreds of years ago to erase everyone's memory of Rahu, and that's why there's no rumors or secrets. No, everybody just believes that the dome is the whole world, and that's it because of that device. It's also gonna be they're also gonna use it to like shut down some of Rahu's mechanics. We found out from Sergey just now that Rahu didn't always used to look like a Robo. Essentially, he was this like spooky ghost guy, like spiritual entity that flew around, and his goal was the destruction of humankind. And he like feeds off of dark emotions or something. And one day, just by total fluke happenstance, Rahu decides to attack a child's custom Robo toy. and he got trapped inside, essentially. It's almost like Rahu, the ghost, dove in, like we dive in, but couldn't ever get back out. And that meant that now he has a physical form, now he can be attacked. And so the government started making custom robos like more like weapons. They started making them very much more intense, making them capable of doing damage, so that we could fight back against Rahu. And that's why they're such an important part of this society as we know it now, right? This whole life in the dome, everybody seems to know a lot about robos. Everybody uses them, from just like, I'm mad at you, let's battle, to let's all go to the tournament that they're holding. There's tournaments all the time. Let's just battle for fun. It's just what they do. Everybody loves custom robo, and it's kind of just because of this government push to master these things and make them stronger so that we can battle Rahu. So our mission now is to find Rahu, use the watch to essentially like stun him, and then beat him up and destroy him forever. And so Sergey, when Rahu was in the tube, put a tracking device on Rahu. And so now we're following it, and we followed him all the way to an amusement park, like down the road. And so we're gonna storm the amusement park, we're gonna beat a bunch of Z members, and hopefully find Rahu. Shauny also just finishing the lore dump, the big exposition. It really is so long, right? We do it in like a minute and a half, all that mashing, but casually like reading all that dialogue, there are 3 autosaves in that one like cutscene. Normally it autosaves every night, right? Like every time you finish a day or every time you get half through a day, there's an autosave. But the game kind of expects you to like be reading and be like, wow, this is crazy, I need to take a break, or I have to go to the bathroom, or it's been like 15 minutes of me reading dialogue, let me just stop. So pretty crazy, but it's over. Both runners did a great job. We got through it. Nobody really had a very inoptimal mashing sesh. No mistakes in the mashing at least. And we're back to battling. Bombomb starting his second battle against the Z lackeys that are chasing him down. Shauny now getting to the amusement park. He's going to start his first one. These battles aren't super challenging. The 2v2, of course, a little more hectic than the 1v1. But there's nothing too serious going on with these guys. There's not that many fights left either. Really, there's this fight that we're doing right now. And then I think including this fight that Bombomb is on, he has 5 fights left in the game. We're probably looking at anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes left in the run, I assume. I don't have the actual timer going, so I can't tell how far in we are now. But both runners doing an excellent job. Shauny so far destroying his first Z-Lackey fight. So far he has a perfect score, total 800 health. Bombomb just finishing his second one. And the second one, Bombomb's maybe a little... So okay, they both finished at about the same time, which is pretty interesting. Shauny's second fight, of course, is the longer one, because it was a 2v2 fight. But now that that's over, actually one more group of Z-Lackeys is going to show up. And all the characters are like, are you serious? Another group. But everyone's going to leave except for Mira and Roy, who are now going to do 1v3s off-screen. Okay, Bombomb. Getting to the bathroom. The bathroom is there on the left, and Harry's going to be like, okay, I have to go to the bathroom. Bombbomb's going to be very careful as he mashes to only ever hit B when that screen shows up. He's going to hit B 5 times. Harry's going to angrily go into that. He's like, you know what, fine. I'll just go myself. And then these next scenes are kind of silly. Everyone's just like waiting. They're like, where's Harry? Like, what's taking him so long? Maybe he fell in. But really, he's in there fighting. If you say yes one time, you go in there with him and you do a 1v1 battle and a 2v2 battle. And so since we didn't, it's implied that Harry went in there, did a 1v3 battle, and then used the bathroom.
Yeah.
And Harry will even come out and be like, I just had to fight all those guys by myself. Like, why would anybody come in? Like, pretty silly stuff. But it was faster. It was faster to say no to Harry 5 times like that than to go in there and do those 2 fights. Hence bathroom skip.
So runner have to select no at 5 times. Absolutely.
There's only 2 or 3 times?
5 times.
Oh, 5 times.
5 times no.
Yes, 5 times no. You gotta hit no every time for 5 times to get the bathroom skip to happen. Bomb doing one of the last
yeah.
fights.
This fight,
Yeah.
I want to shot close hit at all time. So it is difficult to cross the distance from enemy.
Yeah, the big stage must be troubling too, right? If they get far away, chasing him down.
Yes.
And that's just another thing about those feather legs. But they're saving so much time in other places that it's worth it. You can have these harder fights every once in a while.
Yeah, entering the maze.
Entering the maze, right? And so here's the maze, the fun house. And we have one battle in here that's scripted. You have to fight as soon as you enter the maze. And there's a ton of other enemies hidden throughout the maze. And if you walk onto a tile that they're on, they'll jump out and they'll surprise you when you have a fight. There is one route through the maze with no battles except for this first one. And so both runners are going to be following that route, hopefully getting no battles. There's one corner that can give you some trouble. If you don't take it tight enough, you'll end up getting a battle. But I'm sure bombomb and Shauny will both be able to handle that. They'll move excellently through the maze, optimal movement, and dodge all the fights. And including the fight that bombomb just started, he only has 3 fights left. He's got this fight. No, that's not true. 4 fights left including this fight. So I guess I miscounted it all. And the Gatling gun. Gatling gun, of course, very common early game, but not a big problem then with the worse AIs. But now, towards the end, when the bad guys are getting kind of scary, the Gatling gun can be pretty annoying. Down you in one hit, keep you knocked away, and do a lot of damage. So, gotta be careful. Bomb looking very good. Shauny, another perfect win against the Sealhead before. And so now Shawnee's going to do the same thing. He's going to walk into the maze, go through some dialogue, and start the fight that Bomb just finished. It is looking more and more as we're getting towards the end now. There's probably 10 or 15 minutes left. Maybe less. No, I'd say that sounds about right, 10 or 15. It's looking a lot like it's going to come down to the final fight. That's how it always is, right? Where these runners played very great games. They're both playing optimally. They're playing very well. It's incredibly close. They're probably, 30 seconds away from each other, a minute away from each other, whatever it is. Bomb doing the maze flawlessly, right? Of course, we expected it. Crushed the maze. No fights in the maze. All your friends are going to have a dialogue. It's like, did you have any fights? I just fought a ton of guys. Bomb says, no, I had no fights. And now, all of a sudden, Eliza shows up with some lackeys. Sergey's going to hold off Eliza, and we're going to fight the others. And that's the idea here. This is the third remaining fight. We fight this fight and then 2 others. Shauny starting up the fight against this lackey at the beginning of the maze. Again, it's been the same plan the whole time, right? We're using the 3-way at close range. We're trying to use the bomb to stop them, stun them. We're dashing to keep close. That's the idea here. The ice stages are super annoying, but Bomb doing a great job staying close to the enemy. Shauny using his charge. The charge and then dash strat is very strong. Charge finish off. Shauny's strat that he used the charge and then dash. If you charge with the Metal Ape, he floats into the air a little bit, and when you hit the opponent, they get knocked very far back. It ends up being about the distance that the air dash is. And so if you charge and then you dash towards the enemy, you end up just being right in front of them. You can use the 3-way again. Huge reveal right now, big plot reveal. We just passed Eliza, but here she is again. Turns out that this in front of us is not Eliza. It's Eliza's twin, Isabella. There's 2 of them, and we've only ever seen this one. Okay, so she smacks Marcia there. Crazy, right? There's only ever fights. No one ever actually has any act of physical violence against someone other than themselves, right? No one ever fights somebody. But Marcia goes to initiate a custom Robo battle, and she just smacks her away. Crazy. I can't believe. And then neither Harry nor Hero go up and fight her. I don't know. Weird moment. I guess it makes sense because you can't have a 3v2 battle. They needed to get Marcia out of it somehow. Interesting way to pick how to do that, though. Regardless, Isabella, the evil twin, we've only ever seen once. She was at Daimon with Evil. That's why when Evil took Rahu and tried to give it to Eliza, and Eliza was like, I don't know who you are, what are you talking about? She really didn't. It really wasn't Eliza. She never once said, oh, I'm actually Eliza's twin. She just made us think we were crazy. She was like, we thought she was gaslighting us, but really she was just lying by omission. And so here we are, 2v2 against both twins. This fight can be challenging just because they both have illegal parts. They're exactly the same. Robo, one is just left-leaning, one is right-leaning. So you can see the bullets, they curve to the left, the other is curved to the right. Shauny, though, Shauny and bombomb both are just going to use the same strat. Get in close, spam the three-way, switch targets to the down or focus one down, whatever's optimal at the moment. Whichever one is closer to you. If it makes sense to switch to green, you switch to green. If it doesn't, you're not going to fly across the stage to switch to green. Just stay yellow. But we're fighting both twins. Shauny about to start the twin fight. He's going to get through the twin dialogue and start it. After this fight is going to be the final fight, right? So after this, we're going to fight Rahu 3. Rahu is going to have evolved one more time, and we're going to 3v1 Rahu. It's going to be Hero, Harry, and Marcia versus Rahu. And so you'd think that would be super easy, right? I was talking about how 3v1s are super easy. That fight is not easy at all. That is by far the hardest fight in the game. It was clearly balanced to be a 3v1. Rahu's weapons are incredibly powerful. He takes next to no damage from our shots, from our abilities, from everything. He just has insane defense. Not even just he doesn't get downed. His number just struggles to go down. He starts at 1,000 HP, but it feels more like he starts at 5,000 HP. And then meanwhile, his damage is so high, it feels like we start at like 300 HP. It's a crazy hard fight. It's very challenging. Bombomb's going to do his best to spam his weapons, to do as much damage as possible and to keep staggering Rahu, essentially trying to keep him in place so that Harry and Marcia can also output damage, do as much damage as possible. Time is coming up for Bombomb. Once this fight ends, it's going to say KO or you win. I can't actually remember what it says. And then the screen is going to fade to black, and on fade to black, that will be time. And that will be the end of the race for Bombomb. Assuming he wins. If he wins, then this will be it. If he loses, it's going to give Shauny a chance to catch up. So all the pressure is on right now, Bombomb. But I have faith. He's doing good. Everybody's looking good. It's just crazy. This is like the biggest run killer of the whole run. Maybe I should stop talking. Maybe I'll be quiet for Bombomb. Give him some time to focus. Rahu's going to be the yellow. So there's Rahu. And you can notice, like, he just passed into 800. Bombom's going to be using the charge to block a lot of the shots and bombs. High-level runners still frequently lose to Rahu. It's an incredibly challenging fight. Just like that. Okay. Oh my gosh. This is the best part of the whole run, because the whole time it's like nice and relaxed, and then right at the end, the pressure's on.
Yeah, Rahu's move around.
He's flying everywhere. But you're doing good. It's looking good. Just stay calm. Yes, good block. Great block.
Yeah. I should have to retire.
Yeah, reset. He's going to reset. If he starts the fight soon, he could start either right before or right after Shauny. Shauny's about to start the fight as well. So this is insane. This is incredibly close. Oh yeah, look at, they're neck and neck right now. That's exactly the same on both screens. Oh my goodness. All right, Bombomb, you're the only one that can hear me. But if you have a fast Rahu, you've got this. All right, good luck. I'm not going to talk this time. I said I wasn't going to last stream, but this time I'm not going to. We'll just watch this.
I have to concentrate.
You're doing very good.
go, go. 17. Ooh. Ooh.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so time is on fade out right now. That's time for Shauny, and then time's about to come up for bombomb, but I can't tell if it's synced or not. That was incredibly close. That was crazy.
Very, very close.
I can't believe how that just ended. That was insane. I was sitting, I'm like sweating on my chair, and I was like, my face is like inches from the computer. I was like, oh my god. That was excellent. Excellent job, Bombomb, and excellent job, Shauny. I don't think you can hear me, but excellent job regardless. This was amazing. This was an amazing run. Both of you did. I don't know. I don't have any idea what time you guys got.
Wow. Okay. Bombomb. What happened with Rahu?
I lost round 3 at one time.
Oh, yeah, you were
very, very, very strong.
Yes. For those who don't know, and I'm sure Mr. Positive did an amazing job commentating. I kept seeing comments. This is the worst end boss in the 90 plus speedruns I've learned. Like, this fight sucks. And I'm still shaking. I just quickly been pausing and unpausing the stream throughout to see where you've been. You've always been like 2 minutes ahead of me. So Rahu 3 made all the difference. GG Bombomb.
Yeah, thank you, ZZ, Shauny. So very, this battle is very, very cold battle. Very exciting for me.
It's nice we actually finally got a race. This is the first time we've ever raced, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah,
both of you guys did an awesome job. This was amazing.
Yeah, and thanks Connor for joining as commentator in this race.
Yeah, I had an awesome time.
I can't wait to watch it back and see how far ahead Bombomb was throughout the entire run. Because every time I checked, you're like 2 fights ahead of me. I'm not used to that. Also, like our estimate's 2:15. You can see how well we both did.
Yeah, along with the estimate.
Yeah. I wish I wasn't watching the timer, so I didn't know 203 is amazing. And then I saw your message about being on 201 pace and Bomb being sub 2 pace. And you got a gold split. This was a great,
yes.
This was a great run.
On day 9, I can briefly put it on stream so people can see it. On my splits, actually, I golded day 9 by 34 seconds.
Wow.
I can't PB anymore in this game. It's like nearly unfeasible for me. My goal actually was to get a solid gold split on one of my things. So I did my goal. I lowered my sum of best by 34 seconds. So
awesome.
Yeah, like I'm still shaking from day 9 because that was good. But thank you so much for having us on here. It's been a pleasure to show off this wonderful little speed game. Like, it's fun. It's very, very strenuous on your wrist, I'll tell you that much, but play a turbo. Please do that.
Much more accessible with the turbo option.
Yeah. But yeah. I think we can go off whenever then. Ooh, control's falling because of the vibrating.